Once upon a time in the beautiful city of Akka lived a man named Chuma. Chuma was the kind of man every woman prayed for. He was hard-working, kind, and very ambitious. He was a contractor who supplied materials to oil companies. Chuma made so much money that even the bankers at First Bank greeted him with special respect whenever he entered the bank. If you saw Chuma in those days, you would think money ran in his blood. His cars were clean and expensive. His clothes always smelled rich, and his smile alone answered many women's prayers. But beyond all his wealth, Chuma had a very good heart. He helped people without asking for anything in return. He paid hospital bills for strangers. He also paid school fees for many children whose parents could not afford it. To Chuma, helping others was part of his life. One sunny afternoon, Chuma stopped by a roadside food stand to buy some roasted corn. As he waited, he noticed a young woman roasting the corn with tears rolling down her face. Her name was Azuka. Her clothes were old and faded. Her slippers were worn out. Her eyes carried deep sadness, the kind of sadness that only poverty can bring. Chuma felt sorry for her and asked gently, "Why are you crying?" Azuka wiped her tears and explained that she had been sent out of school because she could not pay her school fees. Without thinking twice, Chuma brought out money and paid her school fees that same day. He told her to return to school and not give up on her dreams. From that day, Azuka's life began to change. Chuma did not stop at paying her fees. He also bought her books, new clothes, and even a small phone so she could reach him anytime she needed help. What began as simple kindness slowly grew into friendship. As time passed, friendship turned into love. Years later, after Azuka finished school, Chuma married her. The wedding was so big that the entire city of Akka talked about it. Even the governor's wife attended the ceremony. Everyone wanted to see the poor corn seller who had now become the wife of Akka's golden son. Chuma loved Azuka deeply. He gave her everything she wanted and even more. He always said, "If Azuka sneezes, I will buy her a gold handkerchief." For a while, their marriage felt like heaven. Chuma's business was growing fast. Money came in every day. Azuka enjoyed a rich life, designer bags, trips abroad, and servants waiting on her. She proudly told her friends that her husband was her destiny helper. Chuma even opened a jewelry business for her so she could also make her own money. Her success made him happy. Soon, Azuka's business began to make millions. Her life completely changed, and Chuma was very proud of her. Everything seemed perfect, but one afternoon something happened that changed everything forever. One afternoon, while Azuka was busy in her jewelry shop, her phone suddenly rang. The voice on the other end sounded scared. "Madam, your husband had an accident. He is at St. Joseph's Hospital." Azuka dropped everything and rushed out of the shop. Her heart beat fast as she ran into the hospital. When she got there, she saw Chuma lying on a bed, covered in bandages. His face was pale, his legs were badly injured, and he could not move. Azuka screamed and fell to the floor, begging the doctors to save her husband. For many days, Chuma did not wake up. Azuka stayed by his side, crying and praying day and night. Finally, after some time, Chuma opened his eyes. Azuka jumped with joy, thinking everything would be fine again. But the doctor soon gave them sad news. "Chuma has lost his sight," the doctor said. "He can no longer see. He has also lost the use of his legs. He will use a wheelchair for the rest of his life." The words hit Azuka like thunder. She cried and cried. At first she tried to be strong. She helped him, cleaned him, and stayed close to him. But as the weeks passed, things began to change. Chuma could no longer go out to work or visit his office. His workers began to cheat him. His customers slowly stopped calling. His big business started falling apart. Money stopped coming in like before. At the same time, Azuka's business continued to grow. Her jewelry sold very fast. More money entered her account every day. Soon, Azuka became richer than she had ever been in her life. As her money increased, her pride also increased. Slowly, she started seeing Chuma as a burden. The same man who picked her from the roadside was now treated badly in his own house. She shouted at him for small things. She called him useless. If he asked for help, she got angry. She stayed out late at night, moving from one party to another. Sometimes she returned home drunk. If Chuma asked where she had gone, she would insult him and say he had no right to question her. She even stopped wearing her wedding ring. When people asked about her husband, she said she was only with him out of pity. One day, a neighbor came to visit and found Chuma on the floor, trying to crawl to his wheelchair. She quickly helped him up, but when Azuka returned home and saw the neighbor inside, she became angry. Instead of saying thank you, she shouted at the woman and pushed her out of the house. Not long after that, Azuka hired a maid to help Chuma, not because she cared, but because she did not want to be disturbed anymore. Sometimes she locked the house and left Chuma inside alone for many hours. One night, Chuma gathered courage and asked her, "Azuka, why have you changed?" She looked at him coldly and replied, "Love does not pay bills." From that day, her cruelty became worse. She stopped feeding him well. She later fired the maid and left Chuma to suffer alone. Chuma cried in silence and prayed for her every night. Then one day, Azuka met a rich and handsome man named Akiza. He came to her shop and bought expensive gold. He was confident, smooth in talking, and very rich. Soon, he became closer to her. Before long, Akiza became her lover. Azuka began to lie to Chuma and spent nights outside with Akiza, while Chuma sat at home in the dark, waiting for his wife.
Azuka continued living her new life with Akiza. She no longer cared about her blind husband at home. Every night she dressed in fine clothes, sprayed expensive perfume, and left the house without looking back. Chuma would sit quietly in his wheelchair, listening to the sound of the gate as his wife left again and again. He still prayed for her every night. One evening, Akiza invited Azuka to a big party at a luxury hotel. Rich people were there. Loud music filled the air. Everyone was drinking and laughing. Azuka felt like a queen as she sat beside Akiza, wearing her diamonds and shining clothes. As the night went on, the men started drinking heavily. Their words became careless. One of Akiza's friends laughed loudly and said, "Bro, you really won that bet?" Azuka turned and asked with a smile, "What bet?" The room suddenly became quiet. Akiza tried to stop his friend, but it was too late. The friend continued, "He said he could take a rich man's wife and make her fall for him. And now look at you." Azuka froze. Her heart stopped beating for a moment. She turned to Akiza with shaking hands. "Tell me it is not true," she whispered. Akiza looked away. Then he said coldly, "You were already ready to leave your blind husband. I didn't even need to try hard." Azuka slapped him hard. Tears ran down her face. "You used me," she cried. Akiza laughed. "You left a good man for money. Don't pretend you didn't know what you were doing." Azuka ran out of the party into the rain. Her makeup washed away as she cried in the street. That night, her dream life ended. Days later, her phone stopped ringing. Akiza blocked her. Her rich friends began to avoid her. The money she was spending did not return again. Then one afternoon, police officers walked into her shop. They showed her their badges. "Mrs. Azuka, you are under arrest for money laundering." She began to shake. Her shop was closed. Her bank accounts were frozen. Her cars were taken away. Everyone who once praised her now mocked her.
Broken and ashamed, Azuka returned to Akka. The same city that once celebrated her now felt heavy and quiet. Her fine clothes were gone, her cars were taken. Her rich friends no longer picked her calls. She walked slowly through the streets with her head down, full of regret. When she got to her old house, she stopped at the gate. The house looked neat, that the walls were freshly painted. The compound was clean and peaceful. Through the window, she saw Effie helping Chuma eat. They were laughing gently. Azuka's heart tightened. She knocked slowly on the door. When Effie opened the door and saw her, she was shocked. "Azuka," she whispered. "I want to see my husband," Azuka said with a shaking voice. When Chuma heard her voice, he turned his head. "Azuka," he called. She fell to her knees and cried loudly. "I'm sorry, Chuma. I was blind. I let pride destroy me. Please forgive me." Chuma was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke gently. "I forgave you a long time ago, but forgiveness does not change the past." Then he told her the truth. He had gone for surgery. His eyes were healed. His legs were getting stronger. His business had returned. and Effie had stood by him through everything. They were now married. Azuka cried harder than ever. Please give me another chance, she begged. I've nothing left. Chuma sadly shook his head. You did not lose me today, he said. You lost me the day you walked out that door. He gave her some money and asked her to leave in peace. Azuka walked out of the house with a broken heart. She returned to the roadside where she once roasted corn. She sat there and cried until night fell. That was when she finally understood. Pride destroyed what gratitude could have kept. Gratitude keeps blessings. Pride destroys destiny. True love stays in hard times. Wealth is not money, it is character.